clientele, I think, are turning to AI, interestingly, to try to devise unique brands and unique company names. I think that people are turning to AI to further develop that. The way that the law seems to be swaying is that you're always going to require a human being to invent. It would be the person that programmed it or that caused that machine to do what it did that would be deemed patentable subject matter.
Hello, you're watching Leaders with a Mission. I am Diana Castro, and today I have an amazing show for you. If you are an entrepreneur and you're looking to protect your intellectual property, this show is for you. Today I have an amazing guest. His name is Albert Bordas, and let me tell you a little bit about him. So Albert is an attorney specializing in intellectual property law. Albert is dedicated to helping clients protect and manage their intellectual property, including patents, trademarks, and copyrights. His mission is to safeguard the business interests both in the United States and internationally. Welcome, Albert.
Thank you, Diana. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for coming over and spending some time with us.
Absolutely.
I know that there's a lot of our viewers who are entrepreneurs who might be wondering, why is trademark important? Why is intellectual protection important for any business?
Well, it's the brand, right? And protecting the brand is so utterly important. It defines the character and it defines the loyalty that customers are going to have to that particular product or service that's being offered by the company. So that's the first thing that people look at. They look at the brand and then they associate the goods and services and go from there.
Beautiful. So I am very surprised to know that it's not just like the logo or like the name of it. What can people trademark? What are things that people can trademark?
Most often, the trademark is the company name. So we start off with the company name, and then there are the logo designs, the slogans that are utilized to offer the goods and services. So most often, the company name is the first trademark to be utilized. And then after that, depending on the goods and services that they offer, they may opt to trademark register those as well.
And how long is the process usually take?
Well, to prepare the trademark application at the USPTO, which is the United States Patent and Trademark Office, will take about a week's time, more or less. We file it. And right now, the typical turnaround time for examination is about 10 months. So in about 10 months' time, we'll get a response from an examiner at the USPTO. If it's favorable, the mark is published. If no one opposes it, then we finally get the federal registration. It takes about a 1-year period to complete, and that federal registration is valid for 10 years.
Wow, only 10 years?
Well, you could renew trademark registrations every 10 years as long as the mark is used in commerce. So when you think of the big brands, whether it's Coca-Cola, Louis Vuitton, these are brands that have been around for a long time. And that's because since they're being used in commerce, you renew them every 10 years. If a company ceases to operate or they phase out that brand for whatever reason, then theoretically it becomes available for another company to adopt and use in the future.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, sure.
That is very interesting. And we went on a tangent on like trademarks and all this stuff, but I want to know a little bit more about you and what inspired you to become an attorney on this field? Because there's so many opportunities for you to do so much other options of law. Why this one in particular?
Thank you. So originally, I started off as an aviation mechanic. I worked at the Miami International Airport fixing airplanes. I have my FAA licenses, airframe and power plant. The largest airline I guess I worked with years ago was Eastern Airlines. So I worked at Eastern Airlines as a young mechanic. And then the airline industry got a little crazy here in South Florida with Pan Am's and Pan American Airways and Eastern going out of business. So I decided to study engineering. I went to FIU, did a bachelor's degree in engineering, and worked as an engineer for some time. Actually worked at UPS, and I did building and facilities engineering, logistics work, and ended up doing graduate school while working at UPS. So I attended the University of Miami. I did 2 master's degrees. I did a master's, an MBA and a master's in engineering. And it was during that time that I decided to consider intellectual property. See, to be a patent lawyer, you have to have a science or engineering undergraduate degree to qualify to take the patent bar. So the more that I learned about it, I thought to myself, this is something I could do. So I ended up leaving UPS, which was a great company. They treated me well, but I left UPS, sold my house, my stocks, I sold everything, and went back to school. I attended Nova Law School and then finally became an attorney, licensed in the state of Florida, took my patent bar examination. I passed that, thankfully. And that's been almost 25 years now that I've been dedicated exclusively to patent, trademark, and copyright matters.
That is awesome. And what I love about what you do is that it's not just for the US. Like you actually go on a special trainings to do international. So tell us a little bit about that and what type of brands will benefit from that.
Sure. So we are truly a global law firm in the sense that we are able to extend patent, trademark, and copyright protection outside the US. So as an example, if you have a company that is exporting services or goods to Europe, or they're going to manufacture in China, or they're going to sell in Canada, it's recommended that they extend that intellectual property protection to those foreign countries or territories as well. So I just recently returned from a conference in Atlanta, which was into the International Trademark Association meeting. There are nearly 10,000 attorneys that attended that conference. And of those, I got to meet a few of them one-on-one, and we had meetings to set up and establish strong ties between our law firm and theirs. That way, if I need something, whether it's in Chile, Argentina, Russia, China, anywhere in the world, really,
you have
more
hookups.
often than not, it helps to have a personal relationship. And thankfully, over the last 25 years, I've established that,
I love that. Now, I do have a really hot question. With all the new AI disruption, how do you see AI affecting trademarks? Or, there's a lot of things that are in maybe in this gray area. Can you help us understand a little bit, or at least give our audience something to think of or something to consider to protect themselves against something like that?
I think that with AI, clientele, are turning to AI, interestingly, to try to devise unique brands and unique company names. As you can imagine, there are so many companies in the state of Florida and in the US alone. And then when you try to select a unique company name, I think that people are turning to AI to further develop that. Sometimes it's difficult to develop a brand that's unique and stands alone, that would have commercial success, and that no one else has. That's the difficulty that many people have. And for that reason, we do trademark availability searches to ensure that once a name is selected or a brand is selected, that it is in fact unique before launching that would be the preferred way to go. Obviously, rebranding could be very expensive, so you want to consult with the trademark attorney, ensure that you have a unique brand that would be available for federal registration. As far as patenting, AI is really new to the landscape, but we are just starting to see a lot of those type of technologies and people that are incorporating AI through algorithms and whatnot to incorporate them for inventions. And then from a legal perspective and scholars, there's been a lot of questions as to, well, can something be patented if it was AI generated? And so the way that the law seems to be swaying is that you're always going to require a human being to invent. And that portion that the human invents would be deemed patentable subject matter. Whereas if you have a machine, AI, that is generating content or information, then the law seems to be swaying away from that a machine can't really be deemed an inventor. It would be the person that programmed it or that caused that machine to do what it did that would be deemed patentable subject matter.
Yeah, that's interesting because yes, a human is asked to create the prompt, maybe
Right.
can a prompt be patented?
Well, perhaps if it's deemed innovative and functional and has utility above everything else that's been deemed in that area of technology. So if that prompting alone is unique, then perhaps it would be deemed patentable. But other than that, then probably it wouldn't be.
Wow. So and the other part where I'm like blown my head away is with cloning of voices or cloning of faces, all of this stuff. Where do you see things going in that area? Like, that's just my world because that's video. So
absolutely. And it's a huge concern for many people, especially celebrities and things of that nature. They are very concerned with how, their voice, their picture, how they're going to be utilized in the future. And when it comes to negotiating contracts, that is now another variable that comes into play, because it's not only that you're doing a film or you're shooting a video, but what for future use? How are they able to utilize their voice to do, other works of art in the future? So all those variables are coming into play when negotiating rights and negotiating what type of royalties would be deemed to the celebrity or the figure that's being videotaped or filmed, or represented through song or music as well.
Yeah, because that's the other area, music. I mean, every area is getting disrupted, and it seems like there's no going backwards. We're only going forward, and it's
absolutely
how do we navigate that landscape? I wanted to ask you in regards to leadership. That's something that we always talk about here. So I always ask my audience, what is your personal definition of leadership?
Well, I think as a leader, I think it's important to learn. And then once you learn and adapt to that, I think it's important to teach. It's important, I think, from my level with my own law firm, I think it's important to teach everything that I have learned to make the workforce and the employees that you work with as a team more effective. And the more that you share with them, I think that in the long run, it really benefits everyone, including the leaders of the team and those that are employed as well.
And when it comes to learning and, upgrading your level of service, as I see leaders being servants, what do you read? Like, we know leaders are readers. What are you currently doing to read to upgrade your soul?
Well, I'd say from a business perspective, what's made a big impact in my life is BNI, Business Network International. And Dr. Ivan Meisner has several great books. One of them is How to Become a Master Networker. And it teaches how to develop contacts into connections, establishing long relationships, and over the long haul, that is really what benefits businesses the most. And I've been a member of the same BNI chapter now for 17 years. And I would say that the books that are being developed and pushed forward by BNI, including, of course, Dr. Ivan Meisner, I think is always a good read for any business owner.
That's really good. I know that's how we met.
Absolutely. That is, in fact, how we met. Yes, through the BNI chapter. Yes.
Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you feel is important for anyone, creating a business or in a business that has to do with what you do, that it would be important for them to know? Maybe not necessarily like anything that I know from the space of what to do, what not to do. Is there anything that they should consider as it relates to their brand?
Well, I'll tell you, having done this as long as I have and registering thousands of trademarks in the US and in foreign countries as well, the biggest mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs and initial business owners make, even seasoned business owners, is not doing sufficient due diligence for a company name or a product or service name. I can't tell you how many clients come to my office every single week because they get tripped up. They launched a business. They have signage. They have menus. They have a container of goods that's coming in from a foreign country, and they are terrified that that product is going to be stopped by U.S. Customs and impounded. Or they get a cease and desist letter immediately upon launching a business. And it really is very difficult to launch a business on its own, much more difficult if you're having to deal with changing the name of your company or a product or a service. So I would say before anything is launched, especially with a business name, ensure you speak with a trademark attorney to do an availability search to ensure that that product or service is unique from a branding perspective, and then secure it under federal trademark registration. That'll put you in a much stronger position to prevent your competitors from coming forth and copying your name, either identically or a phonetic variation. Some people are under the impression that if you change the spelling that's enough, or that you change it to a foreign language, but it may not be. Having federal trademark registration puts you in the driver's seat to prevent your competitors from replicating the name, doing phonetic equivalences or translations, and it really solidifies that part of the business for you, and it's one less thing to worry about.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. So where can people find you?
Well, my website is bordasiplaw.com. My name is Albert Bordas. The law firm is Albert Bordas, PA, located right in South Miami, and available to help anybody that's looking to protect their intellectual property, whether it be patent, trademark, or copyright.
So you heard it here, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're looking to amplify your message, your visibility with the power of video, I'm going to invite you to visit us at forproductions.com. Thank you, and that is all for today.